Good morning.
Hi, Brent.
I'm Steve Lamken, the police chief of Grand Island. I have with me Hall County Attorney Mark Young. I have a prepared press release. I will provide copies of it here for you, and I will provide it to you in just a second. At 6:30 p.m. on November 13th, Todd Ellsburn, 52 years of age, a local attorney, was murdered in front of 308 North Locust Street in Grand Island. Mr. Ellsburn was standing in the street at his vehicle when shot by an unknown suspect. The suspect shot Mr. Ellsburn from the public parking lot on the east side of Locust Street on the northeast corner of Locust Street and Front Street. Mr. Ellsburn was transported to St. Francis Hospital where he died. Witness statements identify the suspect as a white male, unknown age, wearing glasses. The suspect vehicle is described as a smaller, light-colored passenger car. The suspect was parked in the parking lot for a considerable length of time before the shooting. The police department believes that this is not a random act and that Mr. Ellsburn was targeted by the suspect. The homicide remains under investigation by the police department. We're requesting that anyone with information that may assist us in our investigation contact the Grand Island Police Department at 385-5400. If you have any questions.
What level of concern does the public need to have, given that nobody is in custody?
At this time, the Grand Island Police Department, based on the investigation we've conducted to this date, believe that this was a targeted action, that Mr. Ellsburn was the target of that. This was not a random act.
Is it believed that he was targeted because of his work as an attorney?
We do not know that at this time.
Do we know if Mr. Ellsburn was parked at that location and getting into his car, or why was his car where it was?
His car was parked in front of the downtown center, which is the office building he works out of. So we assume he was getting into his car after work.
Any idea the caliber of the ballistics?
We believe it's a rifle. We do not have any confirmed ballistics at this time.
One shot, multiple shots fired?
Witnesses report 2 shots were fired.
There was some talk that those 2 shots were minutes apart.
We don't believe they were minutes apart. They were separated by time.
When you say witnesses, were these people that heard, or were they, do you have eyewitnesses?
I am not going to release any information about our witnesses at this time. If there's no further questions, thank you very much.
Question for Mr. Young. Going forward with a possible prosecution at some point, given that we have a small legal community in Grand Island, would you have to consider a special prosecutor at some point? And I didn't know if you had any personal recollections of Mr. Ellsburn that you'd care to share.
Well, I think I speak for every attorney in central Nebraska when I say this is a really tragic day and this is a deeply felt loss. Todd was a respected attorney, a good opponent, and a genuinely warm and caring individual, and it's a tragedy, as are all deaths. My belief is, at this point, and obviously we're very early into the investigation, but my belief is we will not require a special prosecutor if it turns out the motive for this senseless act would cause an appearance of impropriety. We'll certainly be requesting assistance and a special prosecutor, but at this time, I think those of you who have been around know that just like law enforcement in all county, the county attorney's office goes after both barrels, regardless of who the victim is, and we intend to do that on this case as well.
Chief, any reason to not release any of this information last night? I mean, we're now looking at more than 12 hours have passed, and I'm sure some people are going to be questioning why they weren't told that a suspect was at large.
We don't have all the information immediately. We don't have time to always go out and try and put out information. We don't want to put out erroneous information. We want to make sure that it's factual as best we can. And like I said, immediately, shortly after the investigation began, it was obvious it was not a random act.
Are you worried about other attorneys maybe in danger, or was it just Mr. Ellsburn at this point?
We have no information about that.
And again, the description was a white male in a small white passenger car?
Yes, believed to be wearing glasses, wore eyeglasses, in a small light-colored passenger vehicle. And it's a car. Thank you very much for your coming.